So, guys, I am so excited because right now we have the real Carrie Bradshaw. She's an international best-selling novelist, Sex and the City creator, Candace Bushnell. So excited that you're coming here to Stockton University on Saturday night. Have you ever been to Stockton or to Galloway Township?
No, I haven't, but I'm excited to come because there are so many great parts of New Jersey
There
that
really are.
people just don't know about.
Mhm.
And, I think that there are all of these stereotypes about New Jersey, but it's actually it's a beautiful state.
Thank you
So,
so much. Yeah,
you
and
know,
have you ever been to Atlantic City?
I actually haven't.
Wow. Okay.
So
Well, listen, next time you're here and you have more time, let me know, hit me up and I'll take you to all the cool places.
wonderful.
So you have a one-woman show. It's kind of like a memoir, dramedy. What's different about this one?
This one I started doing off Broadway. So I've been doing this show for actually a couple of years,
Okay.
all around the world. And it's an actual play. People are always a little bit confused, like,
Okay.
what is it? It's really a play because it was developed at Bucks County. I did it off Broadway. It got a great review in the New York Times.
Yeah.
Um, I've done it at the Carlisle, Cafe Carlisle, which is, super chic. That's where so many people do a little show.
Okay.
Uh, and I've done it around the world. And it's really the origin story of Sex in the City. How I created Sex in the City, how hard I worked to get there, why I invented Carrie Bradshaw, and what happened to me after. And we play a little game, real or not real, because there's so many things that happened in the TV show that happened in my real life, but they're better or worse.
Interesting. Can you give me
So
an example?
a lot of the real or not real have to do with some of the men Carrie dated,
Oh, okay.
and I tell the story of the real Mr. Big. So it's really my life story mixed with the origin story of Sex in the City. It's fantastic for fans of Sex in the City.
Yeah.
Women of all ages come from 18 to their 70s.
Yeah.
They dress up, they put on their Manolos or Manolo adjacent shoes, and they come with their girlfriends. And it's a really fun show, and people tell me they find it really inspirational. So it's very rewarding
Mhm.
to do because there's immediate gratification.
That's awesome.
And if you write a book, it's like it takes a year to write the book and
Right.
then a year for it to be published, and then people read the book and you're like, did they even read the same book that I wrote? Oh,
Right. Have you ever had any really crazy fan encounters, or for the most part, are the fans pretty tame and calm?
it depends on the venue.
Okay.
There are some, like, I've done the show in Scotland and in the UK, and there's some places in the UK where they drink a lot.
Right.
So there was one show that I did. It was on a Sunday, and I think it was in Scotland. But it just depends on if they have a tradition of drinking all
Drinking,
day.
then it makes it different.
So, sometimes the fans can be a little whatever.
Yeah.
But that's totally fun. Fine.
Okay.
I love that. So, you
Yeah.
know, people can shout things out from the audience and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you talked about that because it is true. You mean they're coming to see this one woman show, but it is a play about your life. So it's not necessarily you on stage taking questions and something live. It is
No,
more like a play. So I think people just need
it
to.
is. Yes, it is. It's a play.
That's
It's a
awesome.
play. It's not, I don't do a Q&A or anything like that. I feel like I do enough publicity where
Yeah.
I do Q&A. So, This is
Well,
much more, it's an actual play with a
entertaining.
set, and there's blocking and movement and
Right.
all of that. So,
Yeah.
and it's there there's video and some audio and that sort of thing. So it's really a great evening. And
Okay.
and it's about just under 90 minutes.
Oh, perfect.
So,
That's great.
plenty of time to come. You have dinner before, after,
Mhm.
couple drinks,
Yeah.
you're good.
Yeah, they have a cocktail reception and everything. Well, it's cool. I put out there on my social media, usually when I do interviews with people, I like to know what other people want to know because there's things I want to know, but then there's things they want to know too. So some of the questions came up, especially when you were talking about the men of the show. Someone wanted to know, how did it feel about Big being taken off the show, but then the direction of Carrie and Aiden?
Well, one of the things that people will learn is the story of the real Mr. Big.
Okay.
So I did not end up with Mr. Big, and my message to women is to be your own Mr. Big. It's
Mhm.
not about being with Mr. Big, it's about being your own Mr. Big.
Yeah.
And the things that you want in a Mr. Big type are actually things that you kind of need to get for yourself. And, so in that way, my message is different than where they ended up on the TV show.
Interesting.
And just like that is, it's a spin-off show
Yeah.
from Sex and the City. It has some of the same characters. So,
Do you
uh, you
like the
I
direction that it went in?
yeah, I think it's good. It's really, that show is really for fans, and it's really about catching up with those characters. People love those characters, and I think it's absolutely wonderful. I love the show. I think it's so much fun, and I love seeing all of the adventures of Charlotte and Miranda and Carrie. So I think it's absolutely fantastic. So I love it. And they killed off Mr. Big, but they were gonna have to.
Right, at some point, yeah.
At some point, maybe not the first episode, but it would have had to be like, certainly by the end of the first season.
Mhm.
It was gonna go, because otherwise Carrie has no storyline.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like, a happy couple just isn't,
Story.
there's no drama there.
W
So so he was gonna have to go.
Are you still friends with the people based on the show?
I mean, I still have tons of girlfriends, and I wrote a book called Is There Still Sex in the City, that
Yeah.
came out in 2019. um that was all about really the Sex in the City woman 25 years later. And
Right.
some of the Charlotte Miranda characters, they're still in there, but they have different names.
I saw you did an interview about that, and it is very interesting, the dynamic of dating now is like after 50 is just different. And, you were saying that a lot more people are having more sex after 50 than when they were younger. It's kind of interesting.
Well, yes, because it's the people who are over 50 who are having more sex. Young people are not having sex.
It's interesting.
I got
Married 20
I
years, so I'm out of the game.
You're what?
I've
You're
been
married.
married 21 years, so
Oh,
I'm out of the
right.
dating game, so
But I just saw a statistic. It was actually kids in the UK between the ages of 18 and 27, 40% have never had sex, which
Wow.
seems shocking.
Yeah, wow.
So,
It's very
it,
shocking, actually.
it's, I mean, the world has changed. I think it's the cell phone. There's so much more for people to do. Um, there's a lot of different kinds of entertainment, and everyone's attention is very scattered.
Yeah,
But I have to say, like, if you go on TikTok, you will hear so
many stories.
many dating stories
I know.
from women of all ages, from
Yes,
women who are 25 to women who are 55. And, all the stories are pretty much the same.
Nothing.
They're all stories about they think that, this is going to be a great guy and then ghosted, never heard from him again. I mean, I don't know if some of the so-called guys on these dating apps are actually catfishers.
They could be. That's a big
You
thing.
know, they could be. So it seems to be a bit of a disaster for everyone.
I
It
know. It almost seems like there's no hope, so you got to really find that diamond in the rough person.
Oh, I know.
What is
Or
your
you know what? You find you don't even worry about it.
You
You
don't
know,
think about it too much. Yeah.
you
Like,
don't think about it. You don't worry about it. You do your own thing. I mean, there's so many women on TikTok. The new thing is decentering men.
oh, that's
So
cool. I didn't
it's
hear about that.
oh yeah. So it's
Tell me
about
more.
not building your life around a man
That's
because
smart.
men are unreliable. And I'm sure your husband isn't. You've been married for 21 years, but
Yeah, yeah, he's a stable guy, thank God. I found that one. But so what's your dating life like?
I'm actually not dating anybody. The reality is I have a certain amount of first dates and
That's it. Nobody's really tickling your fancy. I can't
yeah,
believe we're
I
doing
mean
that.
trying to find that connection, that's what seems to be really hard these days. Somehow it used to be easier, but it's like trying
Yeah.
to find that connection. And then, sometimes these guys, I just yell at them. I'm just like, are you kidding?
Good. Maybe they
Yeah.
need that because they've been going on all these dates thinking that they're just the greatest person ever, and they don't realize that they're doing all these things wrong. Good. You should yell.
Well, there was one guy who I met who he was actually really cool. He was really nice. He was age appropriate and he was attractive. And I was like, this is a great guy. But then he told me this story about his wife and they were married for over 30 years. And then the pandemic came. She got really weird. He was like, I couldn't be with her. And I was like, dude, listen,
Yeah.
you've got to go back with her. I
Yeah.
mean, she was beautiful. He was
Mhm.
in love with her. And I was like, you should really try with her again because getting divorced is a big pain and you're really probably not going to find anyone better.
Right.
So then I get a text from him saying, I took your advice. I went back with my wife. We're so happy. And I just want to thank you so much.
Oh my God, that's so funny. See?
So it's like, yeah, you meet the really good guy. I'm like, go back to your wife. He does. He's totally happy. He thanks me. So
Yeah.
that's my dating life.
Maybe we could add that to your title, Dr. Candace Bushnell.
Exactly.
Gynecologist. What do you think about shows like The Golden Bachelor?
I like it. It's interesting because I think there were more viewers when it was that guy, what was his name?
You
Greg or
Gary.
Gary, but he
Gary.
spelled it Jerry, but it was
Gary,
pronounced
right. It was
Gary.
Gary. That's what
Okay.
Gary.
Um,
I felt the same way.
they found really great guys for
Right.
Joan Vass, and she's beautiful and she's lovely. Yeah, so I like it. I watch it every week. Even
Okay.
though I find it a little tiny bit,
Okay.
little
Leave it.
boring in a way. It's
Yeah.
also, the other thing is, they all had a spouse and they lost the spouse.
Right.
Like,
Mhm.
that's not necessarily who's out there.
Real life.
And that is not like really the requirement. Like a lot of people are divorced
Hmm.
and they've got kids, they've got a lot. It's like, but that's not what I'm getting. It's like they all had somebody a
Yeah.
spouse that they lost. And it's like, that's a little bit different than somebody who got divorced a few years ago and
Right.
is out there looking. So
Well, it
I,
skews a little bit older too. I mean, it's not like the 50s to 60s are all like older than
right.
that. Maybe that was the idea, but I like it. I mean, I also heard in one of your interviews you were talking about because when you're older, you know yourself better. And I think that these men also are just more solid in who they are than versus
Yes.
watching The Bachelor or Bachelorette. And you see the guys get a little catty, the girls are catty. In these circumstances, the men are all like friendly and they are all like rooting for each other, even though they're competitors. So it has a different vibe to it.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So, and the men, they loved it. They loved being in that bachelor mansion.
Yeah, exactly. They're just enjoying it. They're just making friends, having a grand old time. Joan is just like the cherry on top. So
Yeah.
when you were talking about when you wrote this so many years ago, the Sex and the City, now all of a sudden we're factoring in social media. I mean, this is almost 30 years later. Would you
Yeah.
have changed the way that you wrote things, and how would that have been?
Well, I mean, first of all, Sex and the City was the first book that I published, and I've written 10 New York Times bestsellers
Yeah,
since then and had other TV shows,
yeah,
Lipstick Jungle, The Carrie Diaries.
that's right.
There's interest in two of my books that I wrote, One Fifth Avenue and Trading Up, bringing those to TV. So there's interest in that, and I think as one goes along, one includes like whatever the current world is. So no, I wouldn't change anything with Sex and the City. And it was written in 1994 to 1996.
Right. Yeah.
So it's very, very reflective of what life was like. It's
Hmm.
about status, money, and power, which are the three pillars that drive people in a place like New York City.
Yeah. So true.
Ambition. So no, I wouldn't change anything about it. People always ask, "Oh, if Sex in the City were done today, what would it be?" It would be Emily in Paris.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's funny. Yes.
It would be Emily in Paris. She would be, an influencer, blah, 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 all of that.
Interesting. What about reality shows? Do you watch any? Do you have any reality show guilty pleasures?
I watch them all. I
Do
mean, sometimes I even watch is it Temptation Island?
Island? Yeah, really?
It's like, okay, they're on a rooftop
They're all hot
in
and sexy.
Las Vegas and it's 95 degrees. Um, I watched Love is Blind and Married at First Sight,
I love Married at First Sight. I watch
those
it.
kinds of shows. Yeah, I mean, at first I thought that they were really, when they first came on the air, I felt it seemed like they genuinely had people who wanted to find someone. And of course now,
It's different. Like
10
last
years
season.
later, and you do get the feeling like, hey, they're going on these shows and they're going to get a lot more Instagram followers.
Yes,
So,
exactly. And that's why.
and now it's that's a whole job being on a reality show. You go from Love is Blind to being on Temptation Island.
Yes. Yeah, like I watch Big Brother and then they'll be on
Right.
Amazing Race the next
Yes,
season. You know what I
exactly.
mean?
Exactly. So it's like it's a new job,
It's a new thing. Yeah, that's.
reality show.
Do you watch any of the Real Housewives?
I do sometimes.
Okay.
Um, of course, I know all of the Real Housewives on Real Housewives of New York City, or the ones who were on before.
Right.
Luann, Ramona, Dorinda. I've known, God, I've known Luann for 20 years. I've known Ramona since the 80s.
Well,
So I
one
just,
woman show, the man in her cabaret show, and she goes on tour.
I love Luann. Luann she's amazing. She's amazing. Um, and she's a great girlfriend too.
Oh,
So
girl, girl.
she's really a fantastic person. Um, and yeah, so
Well, if you were a Real Housewife, what would your tagline be?
I bring the sex into the city. No, I don't know.
I mean, why not,
That,
right?
that isn't true. I feel like I'm like the least sexy of all of those women.
Oh, no. No,
But
you'd be so great. I think you would be an excellent addition to Real Housewives. That would be really cool, actually. Do you have any hidden talents that we don't know about?
no, not really. I don't really even have any hobbies. You know,
Really?
people are always
Wow.
like, what are your hobbies? I'm like, going out?
Yeah, I know. I'm the same
Friends?
way.
I mean, I've got two big dogs, so I love walking. I do take them to the beach,
Okay.
the Hamptons, and so I split my time between New York and the Hamptons, which is actually fantastic.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And
What was the first big thing you splurged on when you got your first big paycheck?
I went to Ralph Lauren and I bought like some weird snakeskin pants.
Really? Do you still
Yes. No, I don't. I don't. That was a long time ago.
have
Clothes, we all keep our clothes and it's like vintage and this and that, but this is what nobody tells you. Like clothes they kind of can disintegrate.
Yeah, they can, especially like the
Like,
stretch in them sometimes can harden, and then you're like, "Oh,
yes.
can't wear
Yeah,
this."
it's like I can't wear this anymore.
That's
So I
interesting.
kept it in my closet, taking up space for, 25 years.
Right.
But
I understand that. I understand, believe me. Yeah. So do you have a bucket list celebrity that you've always wanted to meet and you've never met them?
no, I'm not a big celebrity. I don't get the whole fan thing, celebrity. I don't understand it at all.
So do
So
you have like who's the most famous person you text with?
no one.
Okay. What's the best advice you've ever gotten from your parents?
Well, it's one of the things that I say in the show is that you can't rely on anybody else for your happiness or a roof over your head.
Mhm. That's true. So then, and just going back to like when they're filming, are you on the set with
No,
everybody? Oh,
no,
you're
no, no, no. I have nothing to do with and just like that.
interesting. Okay. Do you
And
have,
neither does Darren Star. So it's a different group of people, the whole thing.
okay, do you have any like fun behind the scenes stories with any of the cast that would be like a fun story for people to know?
No, I don't.
Okay. All right, awesome. Well,
Again, it's like I don't like I don't go there.
okay. And one other fan question I forgot to ask was that they wanted to know if you had a chance to write a story for Carrie, what would her next chapter look like now versus then?
Well, you have to read my book. Is there
Okay.
still Sex in the City?
Yeah,
Because that's really about the Sex in the City woman 25 years later.
I love that. Well, thank you so much, Candace. We can't wait to see you at Stockton University. That's going to be this Saturday,
Yes.
the 26th. It's going to be a lot of fun, your one woman show. And we hope to see everybody there. Get your tickets, and there's going to be a cocktail reception, and it's going to be a lot of fun with Candace. So thank you so much.
It it really is a fun show. It's a lot of laughs and we have a great time. So I can't wait to see everybody there.
Yeah, we'll see you there, guys.